All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of VettyTalks. Please welcome your host, Garrett Harden.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you. Good to see you guys. Thank you for coming. Well, a little bit of a smaller audience this time, but we'll work with what we've got. So, everybody, welcome to VettyTalks. I'm your host, Garrett. And today's episode is a very special one. It is about the art of poetry and how it can transform us as an art of expression and sort of how we can use it to understand the world around us. And so today we found a very eccentric local, a great man who writes poetry for a living. And he has a lot of wisdom and knowledge about life, and he uses poetry himself to sort of understand and express the world. So with that said, I'd like to welcome our first our guest today, Rich Kovatch, the BlueTooth Poets. Thank you, Rich, for joining us today. Well, let's take a seat and we'll get started.
People probably know me. I've been around a while.
Yeah, so if you don't know, why are you known sort of around Monterey? Because people always see, it's the number one thing is your truck.
Yeah. If you can look at the back of this here, I have a picture of my truck here. I don't know if you can focus in on that, but I have it lit up at nighttime. I'm the Bluetooth poet. I just made them blue now, so it's a blue pyramid. It's actually my positive perspective pyramid,
Okay.
or my timeout tent, depending.
Timeout
right?
tent, okay.
It's a timeout tent.
Depending on the vibe of it.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
then I get people to stop by, and they see me drive around. I've had it for 2 or 3 years with that pyramid on there and stuff. So
Attracts a lot of attention.
I'm still funny how many people haven't seen it, because I ask a lot,
Yeah.
and then a lot of people do and say, I seen you.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're the guy. you know.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's just like anything else. You have to get your face known, the first little steps. You know, you don't build a pyramid with one brick.
No,
You
yeah.
know, so.
All right. Well, so we'll start today of sort of talking about poetry's capacity to transform, sort of jump right into it. Sounds good? Mm-hmm. All right. So our first question is, can you elaborate sort of on how words and thoughts have the power to shape our identities and perspectives?
Well,
So when you write your poetry, when you're thinking about your words and the things that go into it, how has it transformed your perspective of the world over time?
Well, I think it has to do with your general perspective of what life is to start with. And you're kind of jumping over to a spot here when I'm already 66 years old, but I can remember following people's words from a little kid, faith teachers and stuff, grew up Catholic. So you listen to people talk, and you just pay attention to who's talking BS and whose words are true.
Yeah.
And I think life is about honing your own words and learning to keep the switch shut.
Do you feel like using certain words can sort of change your perspective on life?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I use and I focus a lot, really hard since the 8 years I've been out here, is any negative word, not to say a negative word and not as a negative. So I find it challenging to say sentences that are positive all the way.
Yeah.
But the way I do that is this is how I transform. All my poems do this. They bring a question in front of your mind, and then I give you options to think about. I'm not here to convince you of anything.
Yeah.
Just show you options, my light, and
Just
hopefully
show a unique perspective of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's your own perspective.
And your perspective changes all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I tore my bicep arm, and my it's different now.
Yeah.
I'm not Superman. I'm only Superboy.
Only yeah. So how did you personally discover, your love for poetry? Like, when did that begin, and what really drove you to starting writing poetry?
Well, it's pretty funny. In high school, I got straight A's pretty much, except for English and Spanish. So I don't know. I'm not familiar with much Spanish, and English is still a problem for me. But it's funny now that I'm a word guru now. What I end up doing is tearing words apart or just dissecting them. And sometimes, a lot of times, there's more than one word in a word. And then you can kind of see if you can go somewhere with 2 or 3 different ideas. But I remember the faith teachers, and I'd listen and I'd try even working out with your muscles. Do this, do that. If it don't work, it don't work.
Yeah.
Because I'm me, you're you, right? So that's kind of what all life is about. I took karate for a while to learn how to get in front of people. Well, there's a story there, but why I did that.
Yeah.
But it's to control myself, you know. And the words are, the Bible says they have the power to give life and death. Well, I pay attention to my words. And the other caveat to that is, words are words, interpretations are interpretations, right? So, and that's my titles. If you just go over my titles on my website, just the titles should make you start cracking up.
Yeah.
Because you have to figure out what the heck am I talking about.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think it's very unique, especially and we'll show you guys some examples of his poetry very soon. It's very unique of how you dissect your words and you find almost multiple meanings within a single word. And the way that you've read them to me, it's not like regular poetry like Walt Whitman. You're literally dissecting the words, and it's like, no, most people who just read your poetry, they're not going to look into those microscopic meanings into each word. And I think that's really what brings out your poetry, honestly.
Well, I notice, I have a poem called The Inevitable Evolution, and life just inevitably evolves, including my ability to speak, hopefully. But, like I took karate. I was a karate instructor for almost 20 years. I remember being a white belt, and you learn the progressions.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, my next test, And the thing about testing is, when I'm going to test you, I know you're ready. So it's not really, it's like a formal thing.
Yeah.
Right? The instructor will know if you're all nervous and you freak out.
Do you feel like writing poetry is a test for you?
Definitely. But the flow's really easy. So, and here's the other thing. So I've come to realize if I live by faith, supposedly what's the world supposed to give you? Examples for you to have faith.
Yeah.
So if I don't want troubles and issues, then I have no wars, I have no battles, I have no reason to guard the gates of heaven. There's no Garden of Eden. Eden is paradise. I need to guard it from what? So basically my thing is from religion. I don't like being lied to. It's like my pet peeve, including from myself. So the ultimate judge is the God within, my innate God.
Speaking of faith, do you find yourself more religious or more spiritual, I guess?
Well, even the word spiritual is getting old-fashioned,
Yeah.
supposedly. I think it's just getting true to yourself. They know thyself has been around forever, right? So if I know that I'm a child of God, love, Jesus, whatever, creation, what does that mean to me? So you have to give a meaning to life, right?
Yeah.
I have a poem called The Purpose of Purpose. It's pretty good, but I have 520 of them, so it's like...
How long have you been writing poems for?
Okay, so my first poem, actually I met my wife that I've divorced twice. She's still in Las Vegas, but my friend, just not a wife. I saw her and I wrote her a poem, really funny poem, about her long hair. It was almost as long as mine. She came down from the steps and it was all beautiful, and I heard God say, "This is the girl you're going to marry." Who said that? The other girls said, I didn't hear nothing. So anyway, I wrote her a funny poem about her hair. She ended up cutting her hair, and it's never been long since. It's like, what the heck? What's with women? They're to make us
pretty
laugh, I
funny,
guess,
yeah.
you know. And then she dies of blonde. But whatever. It's just a symptom of something deeper.
Yeah.
You know, that we all need love. We all want to be loved. She didn't have a dad, you know, so I was kind of like the dad and the husband and the brother and the pastor. And
So sort of, I think what you're keying to is like our actions definitely reflect of, you know, who we are as a person, but also what we're going through at that moment in time.
Right. They speak louder than words. And a lot of times you don't know if, you know, I say this all the time. I might have just lost my dog today. You know, he might have just got run over. And my nerves are not super calm. And the way the world is going now with the COVID issues, and, you know, they've been trying to get people to be scared of their breath forever. Now they are. A lot of people are.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's their deal. You don't, you know, I run my world as much as I can manage.
Yeah.
Balance, you know. I mean, I had to wear a mask to get food at Trader Joe's.
Oh, yeah.
But other than that, I didn't wear one.
Did going into COVID, I guess, and, you know, sort of being forced to, you know, follow
Isolate.
these rules and isolate yourself, did that sort of change who you were or even reflect in how you wrote poetry?
Yes, I started writing a poem about every other day. I wrote, since I've been on here, I started out with 112, and then I wrote a couple more, then I had 135 in my first book, the big book there. And I came here, I lived with my daughter for a while, got her through beauty school. She has a salon. She's moving to Italy. She's doing really well.
Yeah.
Yay for her. And I stopped having to take care of my granddaughter, so I decided to write my book.
Yeah.
So took me 6-7 months or whatever. Met a girl doing that. Got to be a friend. Got to be an enemy, apparently. I went to jail for 3 days. So there's a poem in there.
Okay.
I should have listened.
Yeah.
But, you know. So anyway, you want to listen to our own heart, right?
Yeah.
Now, I thought I was listening. I was experimenting. And that's true. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
So the thing was, see, that's kind of what karma is. You got to kind of, you read karma out of the back mirror, you know. Yeah, it's in your face, but it's a now thing, my decision. I can say I love you, but if I walk by and have a sandwich and don't feed you, how much was that love worth?
Yeah.
You know, what's the value? So I wrote her a poem, and then not much happened. Well, we got pregnant and married and all that stuff, but I wrote her a Valentine's Day poem in 1999, Valentine's Day. Then I wrote one for my daughter. I can't leave her out. And then like the next day, I felt inspired to write a poem. It was called The Sinner, Catholic crap still. So it's like, oh, that was fun. And then I worked in a factory that had 1,000-some employees, a lot of people to write for. I just started writing poetry, you know.
So you've been all over and, you know.
All over, usually trying to get people to listen to their own heart.
Yeah.
All of them, you know.
Yeah.
So.
It's a noble thing that you see.
No bull? I don't give no bull.
Well, as you folks
See?
can see, Rich has written multiple books over the years.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of this, I think my favorite one that he gave me a copy was What Jesus Should Have Said. And, you know, all these are, you know, very, very interesting, and they all have different themes, I guess. And you can almost relate to yourself when you're reading these poems, but also get an idea of what you were going through at that time. So I guess what my next question is, you know, in what ways has poetry led to personal growth and transformation in your own life?
Well, since I have 500 and some of them, usually what I do is I have the answers within, and I've written them. So I can remember the titles of my name, you know, a lot of them. Maybe not exactly what they'll say.
Yeah.
Well, I'll remember if they're funny or not generally. But I can skim through but the answer is always, like I say, even for me, it picks me up. I can pick myself up with reading my own stuff. And I laugh because I remember writing them. And then, yeah, the COVID thing, I was up, I had a nice, safe place, and I had to, everyone, express. So I just started writing, and I was like, oh, I still haven't even got them on my website. I'm 80 behind, you
Yeah.
know. And it was a lot of fun. And they're very relatable,
Yeah.
is what I've heard. My poetry, because I speak lay term, right? I use innuendos a lot,
Oh yeah.
you know, so you have to figure out what I'm talking about. But
Do you feel like when you're writing your poetry, what's the feeling you get between, you know, having those feelings inside yourself and feeling like, oh, this is what I want to write about, and then after you finished a poem, how do you look back on that poem and how does it connect with yourself that you were just feeling that?
well, it's kind of funny how they come out. Is one of the questions was, you know, how do you get inspired? Is usually I'll hear a word, a funny word, because I'm all on about funny stuff.
Yeah.
I have a poem called "I Am a Joke," right? So I am whatever you say I am, you are, at least in your own mind. So what was the question again?
It's okay. In what ways has poetry sort of, since you've been writing for so long, how has it led to, you know, personal growth and understanding of your own self?
Yeah, well, so anyway, I get a flow from a word. I don't really know exactly where it'll go, but I have a general idea, you know, from the title. And that's not even a 100% seal deal, because sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
But I'll look back and I do the rhyming thing, and somehow the next line just flows. They have to be connected, and then I'll look back and I'll read it again, and there might be little edits, you know, a little more funny edits or whatever. But I'm amazed at what comes out.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry.
No.
It's emotional.
Yeah.
I have a poem called "Without Passion, Can It?" And
Can
without
it?
passion, can it? Right? So you have to have passion in life.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know, we're going to have a lot of time to get into all the nitty gritty and emotions that really do go into poetry, because it is an emotional subject. But now we're going to talk about, you know, sort of your own artistry. So I guess what a lot of us are wondering is, you know, where did your nickname come from, the BlueTooth Poet?
well, that was kind of funny. I was living in my truck for a while, and 2 o'clock in the morning, just goofing around doing nothing. And I'm listening to the radio, and everything is Bluetooth nowadays, hardwire. I was an electrician, maintenance guy, and everything, I have a poem called "My Current Life." You know, it's not static, it's fully charged and all that. You know, words, there's so many funny ways you can go off a word. And what I was saying again? Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say again. What was the question?
And that's okay.
We might have to do that a couple
No
times.
worries. No, like what was, so you were saying, you know, it was a late night and you were noticing of how, you know, the world's connected through Bluetooth.
The Bluetooth. Yeah, so everyone has a website and all that stuff. And I have all these poems, and I thought, I should get a website, and what would I call it? And in the meantime, my tooth broke. It took 10 years, and it finally broke.
Do you want to show the camera that?
Yeah. So I have a tooth there. Well, it's going to be blue one of these days. And I went to the dentist already. It was going to cost $6,000. I didn't have that. But I started the procedure. You just got to do what you can. And I almost got going again here recently. But actually, I think of the idea is I'm creating someone to assist me in setting up a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Maybe, because that would be something on the Bluetooth. I don't even have my Bluetooth yet. So I'm rich but not wealthy.
Does the name hold any like significance to you?
The Bluetooth, well, it's that I connect with nothing hardwire. It's a soft vibration. My pyramid, I connect without even talking to you. You see me go by, right? The first thing that catches our is usually our eye, or you might smell something or hear something. But grabbing your attention, you know, if I talk to the wall, if it ain't paying no attention back, what good is life?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not here to change anything, just to work people out. You know, I have a poem called life, it's working out for me.
Yeah.
So as long as you're working life out, I heard, what's funny is you will hear, at least my story, everything's a story. So we're just hearing my story, okay? His story, my story. You hear stuff when you're ready to hear it. Like you want to look for butterflies, look for butterflies today. You're going to subconsciously see butterflies even though you wouldn't normally. So if you're looking for the good things in life, the good things in people, I was a karate instructor. If I want them to go to black belt, I have to learn how to delicately get them to walk their own path, because I can't do the kicks for them. When they're in a situation to protect themselves, they're not going to call me.
Yeah.
They're going to have to call from their experience. So experience has to be tough. The very first thing I did, the very first week in the class, I sparred a brown belt. Very first, Hajime means start. He did a spin kick. I see it coming. Bam! And it broke my rib.
Oh, wow.
1 second into the sparring. And I got a broken rib now. So it still has issues, but I went to karate still with a broken rib. I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't lay down for a month in bed, right? We weren't going to have another baby that month.
So I feel like a little bit of what you're talking about is manifestation, both interpersonally, but also in terms of other people. Like if you have a friend that's going through something tough, it almost connects with religion, but you're manifesting that good things will come into their life. But also for yourself, do you manifest good things to come into your life, whether it be through poetry or other things?
Well, it seems to be easier to uplift others than yourself, because you're going through your own time, right? And like I was going to say, I heard what you hear. This Olympic coach talking to the girl, diver or whatever, it's the 30%, 33% rule, whatever. A third of the time when you're working out, life is going to be really bad, nothing good going on, you're just hanging on. A third of the time when you're working out, it'll just be okay. I kind of feel, at least okay. And a third of the time you're going to be on cloud nine and invincible.
Yeah.
So the rule of thirds is, give yourself a break. It's like the three-legged chair. Two-legged, you have to balance. That's what 3 legs are for. You can go around in circles with 3 legs, which life is a big circle. And you can get caught up in the circle, or you can fly off the circle.
Yeah.
Make your own new circles.
Circles
I have
on
circles
circles.
on my book. There's 2 little circles, and these are two souls or whatever, energies, and they can touch each other. And if they're harmonious, they can sniff each other, hug each other, and if they get married, winds of change coming, out comes a baby.
Yeah.
Or else if they're mad at each other, they'll bounce off each other and maybe even destroy each other, right? So we have our own little aura, our own little, supposed to be 6 feet or whatever, right?
Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, whatever. And that's why they had the 6-foot rule, So pretty much everything society tells us is anti-life, for the most part. You find that out as you get older. My dad told me, only believe half of what you say and nothing what you hear, half of what you see. And we're at the age now, they could have a UFO, they could have Jesus come right now if they wanted to.
Yeah,
right?
Probably.
They had that holographic technology in the 70s. They could have brought the Beatles back after they broke up. That was a rock group, by the way. Young kids.
Well, so you keep it's very noticeable that after all these years of writing poetry, that it is constantly through your head, and in conversation you love bringing them up. So would you be able to read us one of your poems right now?
Well, sure.
You have a whole stack, so yeah.
I have a bunch of them. Let me say, can you put up one of the poems first? Because
can't put them up, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, maybe you can zoom in on one or something. But we talked earlier, my poetry is visual. So if I'm going to be with a woman, I can be with a woman, right? I could go blindfolded. I could plug my nose. I could plug my ears. I could close my mouth, and I could put gloves on. What good is it to be with a woman when you negate your senses, right? You want to be able to smell the woman, the energy of the everything. So, like I say, I break the words down a lot, and when I read, you miss a lot of it, but it's still okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
Do you want to read it how you would read it?
Well,
And,
the thing
we'll have an exercise later where we show everyone how
Well,
everyone try to read it.
what I would just suggest is just go to the website,
Yeah.
and you can do it yourself. It's almost like I have ADHD or something. My daughter said I do, but I think it's it's a passion, and once you start getting a passionate eye for something, it's hard to turn it down.
Yeah.
So then words just come alive for me. It's almost a curse sometimes, if you want to say it's a curse, but it's also life. It's what you decide, the word.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a poet. So every word is very important. Actually, the one, inevitable evolution, I wanted to evolve down to just a couple words per line because I'm very wordy, right? And I got it down to 2 words per line, and oh man, that was so fun. There's only a couple lines that have them more. And it makes you think, because I only say a couple words, what's those 2? You got to put them together, right? I make you think. We're in an age now where society taught people what to think instead of how to think. And you know what I think about that? What they taught me? That's what I think about what they taught me, because it doesn't do any good. It's a robot. I'm not anybody's robot. I'm my own free will agent, right? And I have a free will to be pleasing to you guys or to test you guys. If you come into the karate class, life, and you're acting a little snotty, you know what happens sometimes? You get smacked around. I'll smack you with my gloves on or whatever, or hit you hard. Sometimes people hit hard, and then then the black belt shows them what hard is, right? So God, sometimes he whispers, sometimes he talks loud. So it's depending on who's listening, the receiver. If you have your receiver off, he can say anything. He'll kill you and you won't hear.
Yeah.
Okay? Kill me with kindness. That's what
Exactly.
that's what we're supposed to do. So even the words, right?
Yeah.
Kill. Everything is, in this world, everything you have to want to pay attention to. Kill. I mean, even, I got a poem, zip it up, Well, that could be, I tell people we're like, I'm here and you're there. We're a zipper. And when we talk together, we have harmony and we're zipping a conversation up. But if the conversation has snags in it or a hair or something gets in it, then you have to zip it up.
Yeah.
And see, that's a double meaning. Zip it up, you got to zip it up,
an
which means
anecdote,
stop.
yeah.
So it's like, depending on where you want to dance, and we step on each other's toes a lot. So I'm not a good
It's all
dancer,
over the board.
yeah, I am all over the board.
No worries. Yeah, we all are.
Yeah. I have a lot of poems. I can read one. I'll try and read they're all funny. I'll read one since behind the scenes when I came earlier, they were working on the scenery and all that stuff. I'll read this one. It seems like it should be pretty easy to read. Behind the scene, there's a lot going on. On our television screen, most try to get along. To some, it may seem like total chaos and confusion. To others, just par for the course. The things that must go on to create the illusion, to some seen as a guidance, that's a guide acne, ID acne. ID acne. Are you an ID acne? Are you a pimple on someone's face?
Oh, I don't.
God's
hope
face?
not.
You
No,
see?
I don't know.
You have to kind of read that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, I'll try not to do
continue,
that again.
continue,
Okay?
yeah.
To see some guidance. Others as a manipulating force, like a ball of fuzzy yarn, all wound up upon itself and bound. Intense, intimate, constant contact. Have some complain, God darn. Others allow the unwinding as a path we found. that matches the creative process of going with the flow, allowing the weaving of society and relationships together hardly imaginable. Like for this poet, when to get quiet, I usually blow, like I'm the wind of change, and now on my dirigible. You know what a dirigible is? Airship. Young kids. My soul, spirit, and body as this ball of yarn through metaphor, the TV screen of my life, to expose to the viewer my galore, to end a particular less than wonderful scene I am directing, I confidently say, use a knife to cut right to the bone. Sorry.
Here we go.
My own poetry. I separate, because I couldn't see. I separate away today from tomorrow. Get the bone, tomorrow. A joyous occasion for each day. Somehow I hone and condone, always having plenty to overcome all carnal-based egoic sorrow. Patient, balanced with exploring the unknown without fear. Constructing my game of life, I've seen nothing deploring. I am totally aware, and I experience love and all that come near. God as interpreted as the power of life and love, all allows all. Wait a second. Love. Oh, wait. So everything's about timing, too, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to go over life, right? Life is about reruns, right?
Yeah.
We're like a movie screen. The director can call cut, and you can set it all up again. That's like every day. You get to be born again every day, right? So if I've always said, you can look back on the week. Have you had a bad attitude all week? Where'd that get you? You might as well have a good attitude, with the best you can do, right? So anyway, let's get back to my poem.
Okay.
You see how this goes? It's only one more verse. Free will to understand or not, as below, so above, life's heart-beating vibrations, wavelengths between releasing and compressions. That rhymed with expressions, by the way. To repress, subdue, ignore, let go, or balance changes that occur every moment, every day, is the joy of choice and sweetest liberty of being responsible and with talents for how behind the television screen is truly seen in the visible way. So my friend here, she's reading, she's had a lot of them. She's even used to my poetry, and she has to read them 2 or 3 times sometimes, right? But see, that comes around to the woman. Do you want to be done with the woman once, or you want to go play with her 2 or 3 times? Serious, right?
Yeah.
So you can find joy in the goof-ups.
That's really cool, yeah.
You just make it better next time,
All right.
Like I say, I have so many poems in the blink of an eye, wrapping our minds around God. As far as the eye can see, giving and receiving, wasting time, getting whacked off.
How many did you say total you had again?
There's a ... off. See how you read it? How many?
Yeah.
Number 520.
520. Wow.
Yeah, I've written
That's
400.
Amazing.
400 some since I've been on here. And this is where poets are. Robert Louis Stevenson, Henry Miller, and some other guys I don't have a
The
good
BlueTooth poet.
Yeah, I'm the next one.
Yeah.
And thanks to you. And this is when people talk to me or with me. Usually when people talk with me, I'm doing a lot of the talking. Mm-hmm. And I'm learning to balance a little bit more. But people are interested in me. Yeah. So, it depends. I'll see a vibe if they have something going on in me. But I've had people wanting to commit suicide come up and talk to me, right? And that gets a little hard.
Yeah.
So you got to be ready.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit in our next section, actually, which is actually poetry and self-discovery. And I think I would really like to talk about that. Has there been a time or a story that that has either you use poetry or a conversation to either change your life or help change someone else's?
Well, I guess to dramatically emphasize that, I did write a suicide note poem. I think it's number 62. It was a spiritual suicide. I lost my house in Las Vegas after moving there with my wife. She said she'd help. That didn't happen. So you lose your $250,000 house. It was real nice. It was born the same year my daughter was born. Beautiful. And I kept getting laid off in 2007. Couldn't hold a job, and payments were twice as much as Indiana. So poop hit the fan eventually, and I wrote a poem called "I Hate My Life," and I had to change my life because I'm responsible for my life, right? So it's about balancing my own dreams and visions for my own enjoyment. I didn't come here, I have a propensity for satisfaction. I didn't come here to live in hell. I'm loving the hell out of life. It's another poem title. Loving the hell out of life, right? You can experience hell, but you know what hell is? Hell, it's just the unknown. The hell that Catholics want to teach you is that there's a torture forever. So basically, I do kind of like a preaching thing about hell. I just get off on the hell. Now, there is a hell. I've been in the whole thing. It's hell when I speak and nobody hears. It's hell to me, right? If I'm playing music and I have no audience, then what am I playing music for? Although the Bible says, I'm always thinking, the Bible does say, the flower gives its beauty just because it likes to be a flower. I think, right? Something like that.
So going back to that, when you write your poetry, are you writing this, hopefully to have other people hear? Is that the purpose of it, or is it more about for yourself and how you process your own life?
Oh, definitely for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, from writing them for the drug addicts and stuff.
But you can't do that without feeling what's inside yourself.
Well, that's why I make sure when I tell someone else, it has to have a foundation from me.
Yeah.
The guy in the mirror. And like I say, I'm learning myself, but I know what I can put up with. So I'm at the point now where you decide to walk away from people or let them fly off the branch. I'm a tree of life. I'm the tree of life. And the eagle, like the eagle, nature tells us how life is. The eagle builds a nice soft nest for the baby eagles, right? Fur, feathers, and all this stuff. But underneath, she puts glass and sharp stuff. So as the baby get heavier and get ready to go out of their own cocoon thing, a lot of metaphors, she starts taking the soft stuff away. Well, that's what happens when we get older. You get to be a teenager, and now you're going to have to pay for your own food, raise your own family. So life makes it easier for you to choose to fly. They don't know what flying is. They have to take the step of leap of faith, right? They've seen the mom do it. I'm sure it's inbred somewhere that they know I know I can fly. I know I can be me.
Do you feel like you've been an influence to other people? Because, you say that, like in the anecdote you just used of seeing your mother be able to move forward and do something stronger, do you feel like have you in that sort of motherly way inspired any other people?
Well, sure. I was a karate instructor.
Yeah.
I am a teacher. I know there's gifts in life.
Was there a specific incident that that you really felt like connected to a kid, and you feel like, or whoever you taught, and helped them achieve something?
No, it's more of a family thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my classes were so fun. They were almost as big as the instructors, the owners, right? Mm-hmm. And there was other instructors that were boring, So my thing was, if you don't enjoy exercising, you're not going to exercise. Life is like that. If you don't enjoy living life, you're not going to exercise life. And life is choices to choose what you want to do. And you can choose to satisfy someone else's whims or needs. Mm-hmm. I have a poem called The Need to Know, right?
Yeah.
We have a need to know. and I decide how much I need to know.
What would you say to people who, find themselves not being able to find any good things in life to enjoy?
You might have, like, they want to be depressed still.
If they're depressed, or, if they're, working hard, but they still just can't find the joy in what they're doing.
Well, what I can do is what elders do is you tell them your story. I remember crying, saying there had to be a better way, because I was working shit job, busting my ass, $65, and it cost 20 in gas. And I'm buying a house. Well, I wasn't at that time. So I remember crying, telling God there's got to be a better way. That weekend, one of my best friends says, hey, we're hiring 1,000 people. It's pretty funny. So I go in at 6 o'clock in the morning, because I had a job, one window. I installed windows and doors for B windows. This one problem guy, he went 3 times and he didn't get it done, so I was supposed to do it. So I was at 9 o'clock. I went at 6 o'clock. I was the 3rd guy in line. They started taking applications. I'm sitting there, wait forever. 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I'm starting to freak out. I don't want to get fired. So 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I'm a passionate, I was being quiet. So I found, screw them. I'm going to lose my job. I went up there and said, hey, I was the 3rd guy in line. What the heck? I was 11 o'clock. I waited 5 hours. I want a job here. I told them I wanted a job. They said, come on Monday. So I started on Monday. Made twice as much money. Of course, I busted my arms. I've used a jackhammer for 13 years. It broke the crap out of me. I'm broke. I just went to music class. We're the Renaissance and all that. We're in the Baroque era. I'm Baroque. So if you guys want to buy a book, Baroque era. No, yeah, but anyway.
All right. Well, let's see.
Next question.
Yes, next
We'll
question.
tie it all
indeed.
together.
Tie it all together as we will.
I have a poem called My Why Not? Not feels like a tie. And I want to see, we have ideas, right? I like to talk. We have ideas. And I like these ties as my why not tie. Why not? Say, why not? Just have sayings on it and stuff like that.
Do you ever not your ties?
I try not to. See
I
how
like
hard
that.
it is
Yeah, you see
to
that.
talk,
Yeah.
not think of it. And it's pretty challenging.
Yeah.
But you do get better, just like playing music. You're playing the keys. And in the last couple of weeks, when poop hits the fan, your desire for what you really want has more strength, right? I want to play the piano. No matter what happens, that's what I'm doing, Nor. So it's like when you just have a key, a chord, the C major or whatever, and you play, you find out what chords sound good, and you practice. You practice friendship. You practice being kind. You practice those chords, one accord. Then you can start harmonies, and you go faster, and you start running together with groups. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Do you want to be a troublemaker or peace? An example of peace. Peace spreader. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that was really well said.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm surprised I like what I say a lot. I've been talking like the narcissist. God's kind of a narcissist, and what's the other word? He's a narcissist because he only does stuff that pleases him.
Well,
right?
I think that's a perfect segue into our next section. So after, we're going to have a short break real quick for intermission, and then our next section will be on poetry's influence on society.
Okay. Yeah, he's saying, please, we need a break.
A little bit. I'm just kidding. All right, 10 minutes, folks. We'll be back soon. Thank you. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to VettyTalks. We are here today with BlueTooth poet Rich Kovatch. Let's get back into our next section today, folks. So, our next section is on poetry's influence in society. So, to start off this section is, from your point of view, how has poetry historically influenced society and, perspectives? of people.
Yeah, I've always heard the pen is mightier than the sword. It depends on if you got a sword up in front of your face or not.
Yeah.
Obviously, but the poems do. They get people to think. Like even my class of music, it's like going through the Renaissance, because all the music was church, real boring chanting and stuff. And then as people in the Dark Ages, where people were dying, 25% of people died because of the church killed the cats, which stopped the rats, which made a rat infestation, and the rats had disease, so everyone was dying. Yeah. You see how one little thing? See, choices are free. You can choose ye this day. It says choose ye this day. But the consequences cost. Right? I can choose to do whatever I want, but I'm going to have to pay.
Yeah.
So how much do you pay? Do you have to earn something, or is it, are you really paying, or is just that the way it is? You can say, oh, I have to pay for that, or
when you
I'm going to go through it.
Yeah, when you say pay, do you mean like monetary value, or do you mean like a soul kind of thing as well?
Either way, more so an emotion and energy, an energy level. Yeah.
Okay.
Because life is about energy.
Yeah.
When the sperm meets the egg, light is given off. There's a spark of light. Now, I wrote it in one of my poems. It's actually, the 3D science will say, it's the chemical in the sperm and the chemical, the makeup of the egg. They produce this fluorescent thing, and it's a spark of life.
Yeah.
Well, science will always come up with an explanation for life.
Do you think poetry can explain what science can't?
It can bring light to the question.
Yeah.
I'm not here to explain anything. I'm just to accept what happens to me, how I see my movie, my television, how I tell my vision, right? So I do pay a lot of attention on when I'm speaking to just uplift or just exercise, get you to exercise, right? I'm an exercise coach.
Exercise the mind as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any other poets that have been inspiration for you?
Well, that's kind of funny because I don't really like poetry.
Oh, really? Okay.
No,
No, explain that, please.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm into rhyming, and that's always been to me. In English class, they had these poets, and they have the Japanese. What's it called? What's the Japanese? There's a Japanese form, where you have
Haiku.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that takes a lot of mental thing to do that, and that's cool. But it also takes a lot of mental stuff to challenge to get stuff to rhyme really perfectly and have the sentence actually make sense. My ex-wife says, "Oh, all you do is you have a word and then you go through that and you find one that rhymes it." Yeah, but you still got to make it work.
Still have to make meaning out of it.
Yeah, just because this rhymes doesn't mean it has anything until I make it or allow it.
Yeah.
Let it flow.
Yeah.
Or then you have to, if it doesn't work, then you just find a different word to end the sentence in. You kind of cheat.
Oh, that makes sense.
I mean, like God, that's a hard word to, there's not too many words that rhyme with God.
God.
Trod.
Dog, maybe? No.
No, see, exactly, God, So, so I try not to use that at the end of the line very often.
I guess for our next question, can you share any instances where poetry may have played a pivotal role in, advocating for justice or, more of these societal issues that a lot of people face today?
Well, I'm sure there are some poems throughout history that have done that.
Do you feel like your poetry might do that for people?
Well, I know my poetry touches people. If I read, that's not even an issue for me.
Yeah.
That people won't enjoy, at least hearing it once.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if they want to, like I say, take it home and savor it, then they can see the other stuff. But we're in an age now where if you got 10 seconds of someone's imagination, you're doing good. Well, you know what? Fine. You live in that world. I'm going to sniff my wife's armpits.
What do you mean by that? Sorry, what do you mean by that? Yeah.
Well, it's close to other exciting parts, but, you got to play the field.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to be intimate with her to be sniffing her armpits to start with, right? So, I mean, with me, I have really big, I stretch the boundaries all the time. I have poems with boundary poems. I don't have my phone broke in my tailgate, so I could normally just look up a word and have like 4 or 5 poems. This is the reaction I get, and it's good. Because laughter is good medicine,
Yeah,
right?
it's the best medicine.
I told you I got a poem, well, I am a joke, so. We're not wasting time here.
No, we're not. This is your
That's
time,
one of my
Rich.
poem titles.
Anyways,
Okay.
I can't say how good it is to have you here.
Well, I like hearing that. And then, that's my life. My life's not always smooth and everything. Actually, that my first poem, my idea is to stop all the highs and the lows. I like being high. It's just the lows break my arm and break my, I don't like those lows.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if I decide life has highs and lows, what are you going to get? Highs and lows. So the thing is, if you get so blatant and, vanilla, that's pretty boring too. So it's about balancing your energy. Where do you want to go? How much can you believe for yourself? I believe I'm going to play piano somewhere, even though there's starving musicians and starving poets.
Yeah.
I'm not starving. I'm in good shape. The thing is, there's subtleties in the world, in our words, and we don't really know where the subtleties are until the karma comes and shows us. Mm-hmm. Like I have a poem. I create this is what I choose to be. I choose to be in my truck. That doesn't sound right. So I just write a poem. It's in that book. But I was in a pretty good place. I was being taken care of by a church that they let me park in the parking lot for 6 months. I was writing poems there. He paid me $25 an hour. So the thing is, if you can stay uplifted, to my story, the world will give you your upliftment. If you're going to be in a bad mood, the world's going to come back to what you are, right? The world doesn't lie. And I wrote, the one thing that doesn't lie the most is our bodies. Because if you're healthy, to me, my story, it's a healthy relationship with the body of Christ, the body of consciousness. I'm conscious that my bicep is torn. I'm okay with it. It's on the path to being healed again.
So is that a metaphor for, something inner, like in your soul? Like, you feel the hurt inside you and, but the way to get over that is to manifest good things in your life?
Yeah, like this poem here, number 370, it says, I am the personal metaphor for life. See, we're our own personal metaphor. What's the purpose of your purpose? Yeah. If you want to laugh somewhere, I could read this one. I could read almost any of them, but
Yeah.
With me, I have so many tangents. I'm like an octopus. 8 is for the new life. 8, the 8 is the new life. The chord, it's actually 13, but 8 notes,
On a piano chord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can rebirth every breath. And and I do that even today. Stuff was happening. Oh well, it's just whatever. I was looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And then there's stress. I wanted to be, but things will flow how they're supposed to flow. Well, do you have 3 minutes, or you want to ask me another question?
We'll have some more opportunities for you to share your
Okay.
poetry.
Well, I have another
I guess
one then.
so. You're a local here to Monterey, right?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
And I was just about ready to move to Santa Cruz, but I don't know what's going on there. But it's like the cops know me, the firemen know me, because I'm always playing my music on the side of the road, waving. You know, a lot of people know me.
But also for who you are, right?
Yeah, so then there's an ID, right? I have an idea. I have a poem. I have an idea. Let's make some funds. Like, let's raise some money to have fun. I'm not here to struggle. I can choose exercising, if you want to call it a struggle. You know, you can just call it your path, or your mending, or your weaving. You know, we're sewing and weaving fabric of life together. See metaphors, you know? I'm not sure what this says.
No.
Probably got metaphors in it.
You've got metaphors at the ears. I guess, in your opinion, because you have been a part of this community for so long, you know, how can poetry unite communities and, you know, spark conversations about, you know, both social issues, but, you know, things that we don't talk about is, you know, how we get through life and keep moving forward.
Well, that's kind of what all my poems kind of do. They bring out a subject, and they kind of give a wavelength to get through it.
Yeah.
And look positive at it. Your guest last week, they were talking about the gender identification or whatever.
Yeah.
And like I could write a poem about that, and it would probably explain, really, there's 2 genders, but there's multiple, what was the word I was going to say? Varieties or influences of them. Either you're male or female, and you're doing this with your body, and you're doing this with your body. But 100 years from now, when you bury you, when they undo you, they're going to say you were a male or a female to the species. It's like a genre. It's not necessarily your genetic, you know, whatever. Yeah. It's a genre. It's like music. There's rock, there's jazz, it's all music.
Yeah.
Male and female music. No music, and there's music.
Yeah. So jumping back to that, I guess in your opinion, with the, you know, male and female anatomy-wise, but I think what you're sort of keying to is that, you know, you don't have to feel male or female in your soul necessarily. That's who you are, and like you said, it either plays a genre, but it's also can be unique in itself.
Right, and you kind of brought that to light on your story growing up a little. And everyone's like that. I was a little guy. I played trombone because I wanted to make noise. Get a trombone in my mouth. I was good at that. I was second chair. I was 5'1", and the first chair was 6'11". He was the center for the basketball team. So he stood up. He was like up here a little bit. It was really funny. But we both played the same stuff, right? So we're in a world now where respect for the older generations has gone downhill. Every generation's. Mine, drugs, rock and roll, and sex. And then the next one was whatever. And then the iPhones come out. And everything's about isolating. It's about keeping people away from other people. And when you're doing this, you're going to have eye issues. You're going to have mental issues because you're not, guys and girls don't even know how to talk to each other hardly anymore. Because they've been isolated, and there's so many issues, it's hard to relax. And I was scared getting married. I didn't get married till I was 28, but she got pregnant. But she was pretty. I would have been all for marrying her.
Yeah. Well, anyway. You say that you say that when people look at poetry, or it almost is like used as a communicator as well. How have you used poetry in your own life to communicate with those you care about, and how do you use poetry to explain what can't easily be said?
Oh, questions make me laugh. Because I have specific. I used to write my wife poems, 120 of them.
Which
Did
book
she
is
read
this?
any of them? That's kind of my answer. You know, it's once again, if the receiver, giving and receiving. If you know, you can give and receive, what are you giving and what are you going to receive? So I gave example after example of my heart, my picture of hope. I have a picture of, you know, I expect, you know, my grandest desire would to be her out here walking, enjoying the evenings. But if she doesn't want to, what good does my energy do to stress it? Because solutions don't come from the problem stress. They come from a relaxed, creative environment. And I'm in the process of creating my value to whoever, the society, right? That's a male thing. Males have to have a value, right? If the male doesn't have enough value for the female, she's going to get rid of him. You ain't supplying a house or a home or a family, right? And I always wanted to be free-spirited, so kind of when I had a kid, I was like, maybe that's my issue, you know? And she's moving to Italy now, so I'll be alone for the moment. I don't even have my dogs. Yeah. You know, I had 3 dogs when I moved out here. The one lasted 2 weeks. He was 14. But the other one got diabetes, which was hell. Having given her insulin, oh my God. So she died. I had to put her down. I had to choose when she left, my story. And then my other one, Grover, he was 14. He hurt his knee and he couldn't walk.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. You know, and it's a bitch losing stuff, but life is constant change. And if you ever forever hold on to one thing, it suffocates. Because life is about expanding our borders. You can't put God in a box, right? Even though euphorically or metaphorically, God is in a box because kids come out of the womb, and the womb is like a box, at least one of the metaphors for the procedure. Is, you know, and you have to put spark in, and energy comes out. The womb is the creation of life. It's people, right? So we teach our kids what to teach instead of how. Now the new kids are called indigo children, where they don't take shit from people. They don't take nothing. They don't respect anything. Even the jobs, I tell them, why would you want to work for a company that's fucking other people? Those companies are going to fail because the kids don't respect the total. They finally see it. Took 4 generations to get to the place where society has to change because it's suffocating itself. You can't, everything's a pyramid scheme. Pyramid, and the top of the pyramid's gone, an eternal pyramid scheme. See, that's a carnal thing. So basically when I have an issue, I say, is it a carnal issue or is it a spiritual issue?
What do you mean by carnal?
Is it something the flesh wants to do? Even if it's, and there's subtleties. You might want to be, I took karate because I busted a kid's jaw. I had another God experience. He ripped me off. I said, I'm going to give you dental work. He said, go ahead, 3rd time. And I had an out-of-body experience, and I busted his jaw. He falls down. He's in the hospital for 10 days. I get sued for $5,000. I could have bought a Corvette for $5,000 in 1980. Could have bought a Corvette. And it was just a carburetor and intake. But he came out with good-looking teeth. But I got sued, and I didn't want to fight, so I took karate. I want to control myself, right? So see, that's how, if you really look at yourself, what your inner fires are. Do I have any inspiration? Do I give a shit about anything? I gave a crap about my health as much, and obviously it shows. I've been 200 pounds before. When I was working night crew, I wasn't exercising, and I was eating crap in the morning at the hotel, pancakes and syrup, and sleeping till 4:30 and working at night. No exercise. I gained 25 pounds in like 2 months.
Yeah.
And as soon as I came back, I went to karate. I lost it in 2 weeks without even trying.
So jumping back to your story, you say that, you know, that we both have physical wants and needs, but as well as the soul wants and needs. Do you feel like those could either be mixed, or how do we control? Sorry, I'm stuttering right now.
Yeah, no.
How do we, I guess, take care of both those needs at the same time?
Well,
Or is that possible?
yeah. Well, you choose if it's possible or not. You decide if it's possible, right? So it always comes down to me, the original story of sin. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. Okay, so right in the beginning, right from there, what's this God? What's the beginning? What's light? Vibration, light's a vibration. So then he creates his garden where it's perfect. All you have to do is tend it. Pay attention, tend it, right? And then something happens and all of a sudden he's guilty of something. So the story is there's a tree of knowledge and a tree of life. It's about balancing the two. Why would a loving God put a tree in your environment that you know you are going to eat because he created you, and yet he's going to blame you and have you tortured forever? That is such baloney. I'm still have passion about that, but I just bring it back to the hell is what you not making you happy.
No, yeah.
If you're going to work, why would I work? It's, there's people very disrespectful at work. They don't give a crap. But they'll go somewhere else and get disrespected and get angry. You can pay attention. So basically, when you read my poems like Logic Falling Apart, right? Reinventing your days of days, as far as the eye can see. I mean, just my titles. Just read the BlueToothPoet.com. There's all kinds of stuff. Nothing's for sale yet. So get in a hurry. No.
Would you say that you are God's garden, in a way?
Yeah. I'm. That's the dirt on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I like that.
Yeah. I'm the seed, and I wrote actually one of my favorite poems is called Words, and it talks about what you say to yourself. Because I suck. I can't play piano. Or I'm just working on it, and I'll get there. I'll get there. Today will be better. So words are, the only thing more important than words is actions.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think, speaking of actions, I think we're going to jump into our next exciting segment, which is actually our interactive poetry session.
Oh.
So, yes.
Okay.
Show you guys what we got going on. So, basically, next slide, please. I'm going to invite one audience member to read one of Rich's poems as it is grammatically correct. This is not how he wrote it. This is how it is transcribed to be,
Siri would say.
how Siri would say it, basically. Do we have any audience members who would like to take a sort of a chance at reading one of these?
Which one is this?
I see someone in the front row.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
We have a microphone for you as well.
Great.
And you can
What's the
feel,
title?
yeah.
What's the title?
Oh, the title is, oh crap, what was it?
Can you move that down?
What was it?
It don't have the number.
Yeah, it got cut off a little bit.
Okay.
We'll work with what we got.
I'm familiar with
Yeah.
the last line, though.
Well, you know how to read it though.
Oh,
Which, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, if you'd like, sir, what's your name?
My name is Ian.
Ian, come on up here. Yeah, come a little closer. And
Great.
we don't see the title, unfortunately, but just take a little read at this.
Okay. Hello, Rich.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, what a blessing to have such a might. The power of imagination and the thrill of flight. Our sense of control grows higher, out of sight. We're in the paradise of confidence when it feels right.
Okay, that's the name of it. Keep going.
When it feels right, we get in the groove, the one that makes our feet get up and move. To the beat of the drummer, the rhythm of life. The best rhyming word to go with that. Wife? Wife? What the? I believe the third time's the charm. My body had set off every old-fashioned alarm, pain and misery, but accepting the depression of my joyful spirit. The King of Truth wouldn't let me hear it. Though on the outside, as off my fig leaves fell, the cleaner my clarity became to the morning of hell.
The meaning of hell.
The meaning of hell. Oops.
And the morning.
And the morning. Eden's garden for feeding, which spirit you choose. I've practiced this medicine and needed it for every bruise. Nearly 20 years of karate do, the way of the empty hand, and it wasn't a ruse. The best teacher's lessons willingly experienced. I'm now calmly set on auto cruise. When my vision becomes sharp as a tack. There is powerful and powerless, yet both glowing with love's knack. To slowly or quickly teach me how to look back, the sense of time is a miraculous gift. We choose now or later, but all eventually shift our thoughts towards what really sets us free, the harmony and balance of being both God and me. Both the same time, yet one without. This alone gives me the creator, the clout, to proclaim and then to manifest what life's all about.
Wait, one more line. Oh.
A few more. When it feels right, I'm in control, pumped up and stout. When it feels right, there's a hard and there's easy. When it feels right, there's a quality and there's cheesy. When it feels right, I'm aware enough to know. When it feels right, they're the one gods that know share my halos glow.
Excellent,
Yeah.
Ian. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, it's good. I do read them a little different though, because
Well, that's exactly what we'd like to hear from
Okay.
you now.
Okay. Here, I'll take that mic. Oh wait.
You got your mic. You hold
Okay.
on to that.
Okay.
So we're gonna go to the next slide now, and we're gonna have Rich read it as how you would write it, or how you would read it. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, actually.
it'll come up in just a second.
Okay.
One sec.
Is this the colored version then?
Yes. This is.
Yeah.
So this is how it's originally
Okay,
written.
yeah, that's what I asked earlier. Okay. So, see now these are the visual cues. Now this one I didn't really do a whole lot to, but this is like first grade stuff or white belt. Okay? So this one here is the first one I wrote when I moved out of my truck. I moved to this lady's house to take care of her, and she says, I said, I'm a poet, I write poetry. She goes, well, when it feels right, write one. So I wrote one the next day, when it feels right. So here's what I wrote. And she had cracked up laughing. Oh, what a blessing to have such might, the power of imagination and the thrill of flight. Our sense of control grows the higher our sight when we're in paradise of confidence. Oh, we're in the paradise of confidence when it feels right. When it feels right, we get in the groove, the one that makes our feet get up and move to the beat of a drummer, the rhythm of life. The best rhyming word to go with that. Life? Wife? What the? I believe third time's a charm. My body had set off every old-fashioned alarm. We got divorced twice. Pain and misery, but accepting the depression of my joyous spirit, the King of Truth just wouldn't let me hear it. Though on the outside, as off my fig leaves fell, Adam and Eve, right? The clearer my clarity became to the meaning of hell. Eden's garden for feeding, which spirit you choose. I've practiced this medicine and needed it for every bruise. Nearly 20 years of karate do, the way of the empty hand, and it wasn't a ruse. The best teachers, lessons willingly experienced, and I'm now calmly set on auto cruise. When my vision became sharp as a tack, I realized there's only the choice of lack. There is powerful and powerless, yet both flowing with love's knack, to slowly or quietly teach me how to look back. The sense of the time, of a miraculous gift, of we choose now or later, but all eventually shift our thoughts towards what really sets us free, the harmony and balance of being both God and me. Both at the same time, yet one without. This alone gives the Creator the clout to proclaim and then manifest what life's all about. When it feels right, I'm in control, pumped up, and stout. So when it feels right, there's hard and there's easy. When it feels right, there's quality and there's cheesy. When it feels right, I am aware enough to know when it feels right, the oneness that, what does it say? The ones that know God share my halo's glow. Right? So hopefully I have a nice bright halo. But yeah. Now this one here, there's not too much broken up. This is really a very mild one. So like I say, go to the website. The ones now, they're kind of on steroids and almost too much. So
I guess I have a question. How do you use the colors in your poetry?
okay. Well, this one here, I just like colors.
You just like colors?
Maybe the highlight, the words. Now, a lot of them later on, I'll do like the last word so you can see the rhyme. You can rhyme because all the colors the same, or the font is the same. But like, there's different words. Like I didn't really break any of these up. I don't see any at all. Became, I don't know.
Meaning. What do you mean
Yeah.
by that?
Yeah. Well, I'm highlighting, are you mean? Are you being mean? Or what is the mean? It's just a highlight of, that's the root word. Mm-hmm. The ing is the process of it.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of times I'll do the ing all pretty, so all kinds of ings in the poem, But, when I do break them up, this isn't really a super good example of them, but there'll be a different word inside the word. And if you pay attention to that as you're reading, it can take you sometimes three different places. And it gets really fun.
Different meanings to be interpreted.
Yeah. And they're all true, depending on if you're a white belt, a green belt, or a black belt.
Or, yeah, exactly.
Right?
What level in life you're at that moment.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's, there's things in life when people don't, okay. In the Bible, God's a lion in the Old Testament, and in the New Testament, he's a lamb. So he's very soft and, meek or just soft lamb, right? But lamb and sheep are pretty dumb. But the old one was a lion, and he roars. Well, it's about balance, right? So sometimes the lion's going to roar, like a man. If I do something and I cut my finger, I'm going to cuss. Because it hurts, for one thing. Now I have to deal with it. I got in trouble from Dawn to the lady for cussing because I cut my thumb and I only said like one line or something. And I controlled myself, but you still get in trouble for it. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
It's the balance of the man being the man and the woman being the woman and deciding to be able to deal with each other. And if he's roaring loud, you just let him go roar out in nature. I don't need to be in your bed and roar. The reason I'm roaring is because the bed's supposed to be soft to start with.
Okay.
If I'm roaring in bed, there's something really wrong.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Either I wasn't ready to get into the bed, or the bed wasn't prepared for the lion.
It's all a metaphor for life.
That's right.
I like that.
So,
That's excellent.
and that's all.
Well,
Constantly I'm doing that all day.
yeah. Well, I'm sure we have some audience members who are interested in this. So we're actually going to switch now into our Q&A portion
Okay.
of the show. This will last about 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, does anyone in the audience have any questions for our Bluetooth poet today? Yeah.
Yeah.
How long do you usually spend on a poem?
That's a good question. Usually, they end up being like 8 verses, 8 stanzas. And if they go longer than that, since write 500 of them, I try to keep it to like 8 stanzas or less if I can. But it's hard to say everything I want to say in 8 stanzas because I'm a wordy guy, And God had 66 books. Well, that's a joke. But it takes me usually about an hour and a half. And then it takes me 3 days to get it to look like this, because I write the stuff and then I go back and proofread it and I might make a little change. Maybe the tenses were wrong, the past tense and present tense or whatever of the words exactly. I like, if there's a dual at the end, I want the next line to be dual,
Yeah.
Out of 500 poems, I bet there's only 4 that I would only give a C
Yeah.
for the rhyme.
Okay.
The rest are A's.
That's
That's
pretty good, yeah.
And that's how I get off. I get off on writing my poetry. That makes me, I don't know, I think they're funny to other people. They're more funny to me because I know what they're talking about, But if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, then that's funny. And I made you laugh, or I allowed you to laugh. And I did my part.
Yeah.
That one there, I am waiting for the day that's in churches, religious churches, the first one. I should make $1 million off of that.
Yeah.
I just don't. And I can say I don't know how to do it, because if I did, I'd been doing it already, because I would like $1 million, right?
We all would, I'm sure.
So, there's steps, there's secret steps.
Yeah.
Like, my issue with my life is I've always dreamed, I'm living my dream. I'm retired from working my ass off, and I can pretty much do what I want, for the most part. I could use more money, obviously, but, that's still a choice of my lifestyle, right? People around the world would envy my lifestyle. I have nobody telling me what to do, for the most part, right? And I'm free to do what I want to do and build my own life. And when I have value, things that I want will come to me, like a female
Yeah.
to talk to
Okay.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Hopefully more, but I'm getting older, so that could be questionable.
Life goes on.
But you don't know for sure, because I'm just joking with you.
All right.
I don't work out for nothing.
We have time for one more question today. That's not a question. Thank you. One more question from the audience. Anyone?
Hello. Within you can hear me.
Yeah.
Within 2 minutes, right? What's the craziest life situation you've ever been in?
Whoa, that's a good one, huh? Well, see, life is emotion. If you don't have emotion connected to something, it doesn't mean anything. So it's an emotional thing. So,
If I were to rephrase it, like a situation dang, how the heck did I get here,
how did I get here?
Yeah.
Well, when my girlfriend told me she was pregnant, but I knew that. I knew I got that. So,
Sniff your armpit.
who did that? I think when I was crying, I told you that when I was crying, my life had to change. I was just living day to day, making barely nothing. And when I cried out, I had to change something. The world come around, and within 4 months, I had a house. I bought the cheapest house on 10th Street for $42,000, and I sold it for $100,000 because I fixed everything up. It gave me a purpose. I had a purpose to build my castle, right? I had a family and a beautiful daughter, so I might as well build my castle. I was golfing, busting my ass, had money, enough to, have whiskey now and then or whatever, whatever I did. I never hard stuff, but to live my life as much as I can. The only trouble was stress from money, and my issue was I didn't have harmony with the wifey, according to my story, enough to stay together. If we would have stayed together twice. So third time's a charm. Life is my wife. God is my wife. I'm married to God. Life, right? The creation process. That's what I choose. And the body is going to be useless after a while, apparently, because we all choose to leave it. So when we die or pass on, I don't think I'm ever going to die, but I'm going to transform. I have a poem called my transmission, which is my voice. I'm transitioning, right? So my transmission is my voice and my actions, right? I'm just that's all I do. I don't think my dad said I'd be the preacher of the church of what's happening now. And that's what I am.
Yeah.
My dad prophesied. We used to watch Flip Wilson. He was a black comedian in the 70s. And I'd get high and watch him, and we'd laugh. I'd be playing my guitar, smoking pot in my bedroom, and we'd be out there. I was a loving person. He drank, right? On Saturdays and Fridays, but the rest of the week he controlled himself. He didn't touch it. So see, I think I learned that from my dad. You can live a life you want, and you can live your relaxed life, but do it in balance. Mm-hmm. The balance is my main word, karate. Yeah. And I have knee issues, and if you've got knees are swelled, the body tells you, I'm having a hard time staying balanced on one leg or whatever, right? So you just do things slow, and you get stronger, like Tai Chi. Do it slow, and you get stronger. But it's kind of boring for me, so, I have fast twitch muscles.
Well, that was an excellent way to answer that question. Yeah. I guess we're going to head into our final statements now. So, with that said, coming close to the conclusion of our show, for our final statements, this is your opportunity to tell the audience, both the audience here, live watching on social media,
I am not a liar.
Or for the future in the world, as this show will hopefully continue on, what's one message that you can give to the world that you want to give, you personally?
Yeah, I'm not a liar. Richard Nixon, my name's Richard, right?
Okay.
I kind of liked him, but he did things that, he got us off the gold standard.
But your message,
My message is that you choose ye this day. I put it on my arm. It says, choose ye this day.
Can you show the camera that?
Yeah, the crossroad. Life is a crossroad, but it's really a why. You come to a point, which is a monad in space, and you ask why? Why am I here? And you get to decide. If it doesn't matter, it doesn't manifest. If it doesn't matter, if these fears, if I don't give a crap about them, they're not going to manifest for me in general. I have a poem called The Civil War of General Lee.
Yeah.
General Lee, USS Grant, Civil War. So the Civil War of General Lee. So when poop hits the fan, is it carnal? Is it spiritual? And what is the general message that either one or both of them are telling me? Because they both have messages. Right. And then you get to decide. At this point, this is what I choose, and it's going to be right for me. It may not be right for you, but in the long run it is, because it's free will, and everyone does their own thing. I'm not here for you. God is God. I'm my own God. You're your own God. We are God together.
I like that.
Right?
That's awesome. Well, folks, it's getting to that time right now. So, with that said, let's rise.
Yay, rise.
Please, where can people find your poetry work one more time?
Okay, my poetry is on the BlueToothPoet.com website. It has almost 500 poems on there. There's 4 books up there on the home page. Nothing's for sale. They're like ebooks. Some of them are just PDFs. But just reading the poems, I'm telling you, this poem here, it says, the place for this is a poem for the bathroom, because the things I write might piss you off and you might shit your pants.
All right.
So just read it in the bathroom. And don't, right? And I ain't full of crap.
All right. Well, sounds good. Well, let's see. Let's hit that last slide, and then with that
Slide
said,
on over.
slide it on over.
We're going
that
to go
said-
on the outside now.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us today on our second episode of VettyTalks with Rich Kovatch, the Bluetooth poet. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time on VettyTalks.
Yay, very talk.